What if the greatest civilizations in human history didn't disappear because they failed, but because they knew something we don't? Long before satellites and skyscrapers, ancient people were mapping the stars, shaping mountains, and building monuments so precise they still confuse modern engineers. These were not primitive societies guessing their way through survival. They were observers, planners, silent experts of a world we've only begun to question. Across deserts, jungles, oceans, and mountains, traces remain. Stone circles aligned to the heavens, cities swallowed by sand, machines found where they shouldn't exist. And for every answer archaeology uncovers, another uncomfortable question emerges. How do they know so much so early? And more unsettling, how much of their knowledge vanished with them? Tonight, we don't chase wild theories. We follow the evidence, and what it quietly suggests may change how you see human history forever.
The night is often the hour when the world grows quiet enough for long-forgotten stories to rise again, drifting like faint echoes across the centuries. As we begin this journey together, imagine yourself stepping slowly into a dimly lit corridor of time, where each shadow holds a memory and each whisper carries the remnants of a civilization now lost to dust. This opening section invites you into that calm, contemplative space, a threshold between the familiar present and the ancient unknown. Here we pause, breathe, and allow the world of mystery to gently unfold before us. Humanity has always been drawn to the mysteries of its own origin. We stand in the modern age surrounded by satellites, high-speed communication, and towering cities, yet deep inside, a question still stirs. How much do we truly know about those who came before us? Archaeologists, historians, and explorers have dedicated lifetimes attempting to piece together fragments left in stone, clay, and bone. But for each answer uncovered, another question seems to open. This delicate balance between what we understand and what remains hidden forms the heart of ancient mystery. It is this tension, soft and steady like the rhythm of distant waves, that guides our journey tonight. Picture the earliest humans gazing at the same stars we see today. They stood beneath open skies with no written language, no cities, and no modern technologies. Yet somehow they built monuments that still stand defying time and explanation. They carved symbols into stone long before alphabets formed, created mythologies that spoke of worlds beyond sight, and developed calendars that aligned perfectly with celestial cycles. Their achievements blur the line between the possible and the improbable. As we ease deeper into the narrative, we begin to sense that the ancient world was not simply primitive. It was filled with knowledge, intention, and a quiet brilliance that often surpasses our expectations. This journey is not one of wild speculation or dramatic conclusions. Instead, it is a gentle walk along the boundary where fact meets wonder. We will explore mysteries supported by physical evidence, monuments, tools, manuscripts, ruins, while allowing space for the imagination to breathe. The calm tone and soft pacing aim to provide comfort as much as curiosity, giving listeners a place to rest and reflect. This is the approach favored by sleep-friendly historical documentaries, an immersive blend of soothing narration and thoughtful inquiry, allowing the mind to drift without confusion or alarm. As we open this veil of time, consider how many civilizations rose and vanished long before the world as we know it emerged. Some left behind massive constructions that challenge modern engineering. Others disappeared, leaving only fragments, pottery shards, cryptic symbols, half-buried foundations. Many more left nothing at all, their stories swallowed by soil, sea, or shifting deserts. The absence of their voices creates a quiet void, a silence that invites interpretation, imagination, and scientific investigation. It is within this silence that humanity's greatest mysteries often reside. Think of the Great Pyramid of Giza, a structure whose precision still baffles researchers. Think of Göbekli Tepe, older than any known city, built with a sophistication that betrays our assumptions about prehistoric life. or the submerged ruins scattered across coastlines, suggesting entire chapters of history may now lie beneath the waves. Why were these places built? Who guided their construction? And how did knowledge spread across continents before the invention of writing or wheels? These questions linger like soft shadows, stretching across time. Yet even as we ponder these enigmas, there is comfort in recognizing that mystery is a natural part of the human story. Not every secret is meant to be solved. Some are meant to be appreciated, admired, or simply acknowledged. In the gentle balance between certainty and doubt, we discover an unusual peace. This documentary is designed to bring that feeling forward, to create a soothing space where curiosity and relaxation coexist. The mysteries we explore will not overwhelm, but quietly intrigue, guiding the mind into deeper layers of reflection. As we prepare to move beyond this introduction, imagine that the ancient world is not behind us, but around us, woven into the earth, hidden in the wind, resting beneath oceans, or sleeping under mountains. Every culture, every monument, every myth adds its own fragment to the mosaic of human history. Together, these fragments form a vast tapestry of triumph, innovation, and unanswered questions. In the next section, we will step further back, far beyond recorded history, into prehistoric landscapes shaped by silent architects. Their stone circles, megaliths, and forgotten sanctuaries will begin to tell a quiet story, one carved not into books but into the earth itself. And as we follow these traces, the world of mystery will open wider, offering the first clues to civilizations that lived without leaving a clear name behind. This is the beginning of our journey, a slow, calming descent into the deepest chambers of time, where history becomes a whisper and every shadow holds a secret waiting to be gently uncovered. Long before the written word, long before kings and temples, there were the silent architects of prehistory. They lived in a world both harsh and beautiful, guided by the rhythms of the sun, the moon, and the stars, yet leaving behind no detailed record of their thoughts, their intentions, or even their names. All that remains of them are stones arranged with careful precision, earthworks that defy explanation, and landscapes subtly shaped to carry meaning that only the passage of time could reveal. In this section, we drift through these ancient places, listening quietly to the echoes of human ingenuity and marveling at the fact that so much can survive even when memory fades. There is a calm, almost meditative wonder in considering what they accomplished with tools far simpler than our own, yet with a sophistication that continues to puzzle archaeologists today. Megaliths stand as some of the most enduring monuments of prehistoric human effort. Take, for example, the stone circles of Europe. Places like Stonehenge, quietly resting on the windswept plains of Salisbury, England, or the ringed monuments of Brittany, France, hold a presence that is both imposing and serene. To the modern eye, they seem impossibly arranged, stones weighing several tons lifted and placed with exacting alignment. Their purpose, while partially understood, remains partially hidden. Scholars propose astronomical observation, religious ritual, or social gathering. Yet none can fully capture why these early people devoted so much time and energy to such projects. The ambiguity itself contributes to the mystery, allowing us to imagine not just what they built, but what their minds might have conceived. Beyond the stone circles, other structures reveal the quiet genius of prehistoric engineering. Long barrows and burial mounds, like those found across northern Europe, suggest not only reverence for the dead, but also an advanced understanding of geometry and landscape. Many of these mounds align with solstices, equinoxes, or specific celestial events. Such alignment implies that these societies were deeply attuned to the cycles of nature, yet they left no written manuals for us to consult. The very act of building in harmony with the cosmos hints at a spiritual or philosophical worldview that modern humans can only partially comprehend. There is a certain poetic quality to these endeavors, an acknowledgement that life and death, the earthly and the celestial, were intertwined in ways we can now sense but not entirely decode. If we travel across continents, we encounter similar mysteries, each shaped by its unique environment. In South America, for instance, the massive earthworks of the Andean highlands predate the Inca civilization. Carefully carved terraces, channels, and stone foundations suggest an early mastery of irrigation and agricultural efficiency. The builders shaped entire mountainsides to optimize food production and settlement planning, blending utility with aesthetic consideration. There is something remarkable in this convergence of practicality and artistry, a reminder that prehistoric peoples were not merely surviving. They were creating environments that reflected an understanding of both the physical and spiritual worlds. What is perhaps most striking about these prehistoric sites is the combination of simplicity and complexity. On the surface, they may appear as simple arrangements of stones or earth, yet when examined more closely, the sophistication becomes apparent. Megalithic structures often align with distant horizons or subtle topographical features. Certain tombs are oriented to capture the rising sun at precise times of the year. Such details reveal careful observation, planning, and likely collective effort over generations. Modern engineers studying these sites cannot always replicate the techniques used, and in some cases, the methods may forever remain a matter of speculation. This interplay between observable fact and enduring mystery is at the core of why these ancient structures captivate us today. The human element of these prehistoric builders is equally compelling. Unlike later civilizations, there are no records of rulers or architects to take credit for these achievements. The labor must have been communal, shared across communities and generations. Imagine the quiet determination required to lift massive stones without cranes, to carve out terraces on steep mountainsides with primitive tools, and to maintain a calendar of celestial events purely from observation. Their persistence reminds us that innovation does not always leave behind clear instructions. It often manifests in the traces of labor, care, and vision left on the land. Yet, much about these builders remains unknown. We cannot fully answer why certain sites were chosen, why specific stones were selected for their shape or color, or what rituals may have accompanied the work. Some archaeologists suggest that megalithic sites served as centers for spiritual communion. Others posit practical applications like seasonal tracking or territorial markers. The truth likely combines both practicality and sacred purpose, but the precise details are lost to time. It is this space between evidence and uncertainty that gives prehistoric architecture its haunting power, an invitation to pause, reflect, and appreciate what humanity can achieve even when records are absent. As we move through these prehistoric landscapes, the sense of scale becomes almost tangible. Standing before a circle of stones or atop a constructed mound, one can almost hear the faint echoes of ancient hands moving boulders, the rhythmic stamping of feet on packed earth, the low murmur of communal voices in ritual or celebration. It is as if the past is whispering across the centuries, not with words, but with presence, a quiet, enduring resonance that invites contemplation. This resonance reminds us that the unknown need not be frightening. It can be gentle, introspective, and profoundly moving. These silent architects also challenge our understanding of progress. We often assume that technological complexity is a marker of advancement. Yet these prehistoric societies demonstrate that intelligence, creativity, and ingenuity can manifest in ways that leave lasting, albeit enigmatic, legacies. Their monuments endure far longer than many of the empires that followed. In this sense, the very survival of their work contrasts with the fleeting nature of more recent achievements. There is a subtle lesson here. Permanence may come not from wealth or written records, but from vision, persistence, and the careful shaping of the world around us. In contemplating the silent architects of prehistory, we begin to understand that mystery is not a void, but a space for curiosity and reverence. Every stone placed, every mound constructed, every alignment with the heavens is a question posed across time. inviting us to wonder, to imagine, and to acknowledge the ingenuity of those whose names we will never know. These early builders remind us that human creativity and observation existed long before civilization as we define it today. Their works are more than remnants. They are enduring messages, gentle and patient, waiting for minds ready to listen. As we prepare to move forward, the journey leads naturally to the first civilizations capable of recording their world, scribes who would inscribe myths, histories, and complex knowledge on a clay, stone, and metal. From the quiet persistence of the prehistoric architects, we now shift to the dawn of recorded history, where mysteries begin to intertwine with written evidence. The silent whispers of the past will give way to the first deliberate narratives, yet the tension between known and unknown, between fact and unanswered question, will continue to shape our exploration. Prehistory taught us patience, observation, and the beauty of ambiguity. The civilizations that follow will teach us how humanity began to leave intentional traces of its mind, culture, and imagination. In this way, we step gently from the world of stone and silence into the realm of stories, where the earliest scribes sought to capture the fleeting essence of life, the cosmos, and the divine. And even as we enter this new chapter, the echoes of prehistoric labor remain beneath our feet, a quiet reminder that mystery is the heartbeat of history. As we step from the silent landscapes of prehistory into the dawn of recorded human experience, we enter a world where memory begins to take shape in clay and stone. This is Sumer, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates, often called the cradle of civilization. Here, for the first time, humans sought to preserve not just their labor, but their thoughts, dreams, and stories in a form that could outlast their fleeting lives. Cuneiform tablets, etched meticulously with wedge-shaped marks, reveal the earliest attempts to encode language, law, commerce, and myth. There is a gentle wonder in realizing that these tablets, fragile and enduring at once, carry whispers of a people who lived nearly 5,000 years ago. They allow us to touch the mind of an ancient scribe, to see the world through eyes both familiar and profoundly distant. The Sumerians were inventors in ways that extend far beyond writing. They devised complex systems of irrigation to tame the unpredictable rivers, creating fertile lands that could sustain burgeoning cities. They built ziggurats, towering structures that reached skyward with the purpose of connecting the human with the divine. These massive edifices, step by step, brick by brick, reflect a civilization not merely concerned with survival, but with order, symbolism, and cosmic harmony. Yet despite these monumental achievements, questions linger. Who first conceived these grand designs? And by what method were they achieved with such precision? The answers are fragmentary, buried in dust, and decipherable only through careful study, leaving much to speculation and wonder. Among the most captivating legacies of Sumer are its myths, stories that describe a cosmos filled with gods, heroes, and strange beings. Tales like the Epic of Gilgamesh speak not only of kings and city walls, but of existential concerns, mortality, friendship, the desire to understand the unknown. There is a haunting resonance in these narratives, as though the scribes were reaching across millennia to ask questions that remain central to humanity. We find here a delicate tension. The Sumerians left detailed accounts of their rituals and societal rules, yet the meanings of many symbols, omens, and celestial references remain partially obscured. In that obscurity lies a gentle invitation to imagination, a bridge connecting the known with the unknowable. Astronomical observations also appear in these early records, hinting at a sophistication often underestimated. The Sumerians charted movements of stars and planets, recording eclipses and celestial cycles with remarkable accuracy. Such precision raises questions about how these early people achieved their knowledge. Did they possess tools lost to history, methods we cannot yet replicate, or perhaps a keen observational discipline honed over generations? The contrast between our modern instruments and their simple yet precise techniques underscores the enduring mystery. There is an almost poetic beauty in imagining ancient scribes, night after night, tracing patterns in the heavens, their eyes lifted in curiosity and awe. Economically and socially, Sumerian civilization reflects both the practical and the symbolic. Clay tokens, precursors to writing, documented transactions and goods, capturing everyday life with a quiet diligence. Simultaneously, ceremonial texts and hymns recorded devotion to gods whose influence extended into every aspect of existence. This intertwining of the mundane and the sacred creates a duality that is characteristic of early civilization. The world is both observed and interpreted, measured and revered. The Sumerians remind us that human curiosity and imagination often advance together, shaping societies in ways that are at once functional and transcendent. Yet, many aspects of Sumerian culture remain enigmatically beyond our grasp. Numerous texts refer to beings and events whose context is unclear, references to Anunnaki, mysterious rulers, and strange journeys that defy conventional understanding. While some scholars interpret these passages as mythological or symbolic, others note the tantalizing possibility that they record distant memories, ritualized events, or encoded knowledge we cannot fully decipher. The result is a layered world, simultaneously factual and fantastical, where certainty meets speculation in a quiet, reflective balance. Artifacts and ruins complement the written record, offering glimpses into the daily life of the Sumerians. Pottery, tools, and city foundations reveal highly organized urban planning and social structure. Streets were laid with care, marketplaces flourished, and temples rose at the center of civic life. Yet even in these well-documented aspects, mysteries remain. How did such complex urban networks develop in a society without precedent? What inspired their architectural aesthetics, their system of governance, and their technological innovations? As with many ancient civilizations, the answers are partial, leaving ample space for wonder, reflection, and appreciation of human ingenuity. The Sumerians also experimented with mathematics and timekeeping. They developed a base 60 number system, which influences our hours, minutes, and angles to this day. They tracked lunar months and seasonal cycles with accuracy, integrating observation, calculation, and ritual. The contrast between the tools available to them and the precision they achieved highlights a recurring theme in ancient mysteries. Humans have repeatedly demonstrated abilities that surpass expectations when measured against contemporary assumptions. Such achievements are a testament to curiosity, patience, and a careful attention to the natural world. As we linger in Sumer, the calm rhythm of life, recorded in tablets and imprinted on the landscape, invites us to reflect on the interplay between knowledge and mystery. There's a gentle, almost meditative quality to considering how ideas were transmitted across generations. The scribes of Uruk, Ur, and Lagash were not merely recording facts. They were preserving stories, values, and observations in ways that ensured continuity beyond individual lifetimes. In doing so, they offer us a bridge across millennia, connecting modern listeners with the heartbeat of an ancient civilization. The journey from prehistory to Sumer illuminates a critical transformation, from silent monuments and communal labor to intentional documentation and recorded thought. While the silent architects left no words behind, the Sumerians began to speak across time, embedding their questions, discoveries, and reflections into tangible forms. Yet, even in this newfound clarity, the mysteries remain. The motivations behind certain myths, the full meaning of celestial observations, and the extent of technological knowledge continue to elude complete understanding. It is precisely this interplay between what is known and what is hidden that maintains the allure of Sumer and ensures its stories remain alive, quietly whispering to us across thousands of years. As we prepare to leave the fertile crescent of Sumer and journey south toward Egypt, we carry with us an appreciation for the delicate balance between observation and imagination, documentation and mystery. Sumer teaches us that even the earliest written words can preserve wonder, that the first scribes grappled with questions that continue to intrigue us, and that human curiosity, once awakened, has the power to echo endlessly through time. This sets the stage for the next civilization, where the line between monumental engineering, spiritual devotion, and enduring enigma becomes even more pronounced, leading us into the sun-drenched deserts of the Nile and the mysteries hidden beneath the sands. As we leave the fertile plains of Mesopotamia and move westward, the journey takes us to the banks of the Nile, a river whose slow, deliberate flow mirrors the calm rhythm of this exploration. Egypt, one of the most enduring civilizations in human history, emerges not just as a land of monuments and mummies, but as a landscape layered with enigmas that have puzzled scholars for centuries. Unlike Sumer, which survives primarily in clay tablets, Egypt presents physical grandeur, pyramids, temples, and tombs that have withstood millennia of sun, sand, and time. Yet within this apparent clarity lies a paradox. The more we uncover, the more questions arise. Even the most documented civilization retains shadows, unanswered questions that speak of ambition, knowledge, and mysteries that defy complete understanding. The Great Pyramid of Giza, standing at the apex of the desert plateau, is perhaps the most iconic symbol of Egypt's enduring mystery. Scholars have long marveled at its precise alignment with the cardinal points, its perfectly leveled base, and the staggering accuracy of its internal chambers. The question that persists is not merely how such a structure was built, but why it was constructed with such mathematical and engineering precision at a time when tools were limited to copper chisels, wooden sledges, and sheer human effort. Some theories suggest astronomical alignment, others a spiritual pathway for pharaohs into the afterlife. Yet none fully account for the methods or the vision behind the execution. Standing in front of the pyramid, one senses not just the grandeur of human ambition, but the quiet persistence of civilization in pursuit of cosmic order. The Sphinx, resting near the pyramid complex, adds another layer of enigma. Weathering patterns, stylistic details, and the very size of the monument spark debate about its true age and purpose. While mainstream Egyptology dates the Sphinx to the reign of Khafre, some geologists argue that water erosion may indicate a far older origin, pushing the timeline of advanced human activity further back than previously thought. This divergence between accepted history and geological observation underscores a central theme in Egypt's mysteries. What is visible does not always reveal the complete story. The desert, with its shifting sands, conceals as much as it exposes, creating an enduring tension between known facts and lingering uncertainty. Temples along the Nile, from Karnak to Luxor, further illustrate the intertwining of the known and the unknown. Their massive stone columns, hieroglyphic inscriptions, and intricate reliefs depict gods, rituals, and pharaohs in ways that are both detailed and cryptic. Certain symbols and depictions continue to resist full interpretation. The precision with which these structures were constructed suggests sophisticated planning and engineering, yet the reasoning behind specific architectural choices remains a subject of debate. Was every angle, every alignment, every carved scene purely ceremonial, or did it encode additional knowledge, astronomical, mathematical, or esoteric, that modern researchers have yet to decode? The very presence of these mysteries keeps the imagination alive, inviting contemplation of a culture deeply in tune with both earthly and cosmic rhythms. Egypt's fascination with the cosmos is particularly evident in its star maps and temple alignments. Temples were often oriented towards specific celestial events, solstices, star risings, or the heliacal rising of Sirius. Such alignments reveal an advanced understanding of astronomy and a desire to integrate human life with the patterns of the heavens. Yet, questions linger. How did ancient Egyptians acquire this knowledge? Was it purely observational, or did they inherit insights from earlier, now lost cultures? These unanswered questions contribute to the sense of mystery, allowing listeners to imagine a world in which humans, guided by the stars, built monuments that reflected both practical and spiritual purpose. Even the mummification process, so meticulously documented, contains elements that defy simple explanation. The preservation techniques reveal extraordinary anatomical knowledge and chemical expertise, yet the motivations behind certain rituals and variations across periods remain partially obscure. What drove the Egyptian fascination with the afterlife to such meticulous lengths? How did they combine spiritual belief with empirical observation in ways that produced results even modern science finds remarkable? In exploring these questions, we encounter a civilization whose accomplishments are as much intellectual and philosophical as they are architectural. The Nile itself, with its annual inundation, serves as both a life-giver and a silent witness to the passage of time. Its predictable rhythm allowed agriculture to flourish, cities to emerge, and knowledge to accumulate over centuries. Yet the river also conceals remnants of earlier settlements, now submerged or lost to shifting channels. Archaeological discoveries beneath the sands continue to surprise. Towns, ceremonial complexes, and artifacts that challenge conventional timelines. Each discovery reinforces a central truth. Egypt is a land of contrasts, where clarity and enigma coexist, and where every uncovering deepens the mystery rather than resolving it completely. In examining Egypt's monuments and texts, a pattern emerges. The civilization thrived on a combination of observation, imagination, and ritual. They measured, mapped, and recorded, yet always left room for symbolism and hidden meaning. Hieroglyphs, while largely understood, contain nuances that continue to puzzle linguists and historians. Certain inscriptions hint at technologies, events, or knowledge that remain opaque. This tension between what is known and what remains concealed is central to the enduring fascination with Egypt. It is a civilization that offers answers in abundance, while simultaneously inviting endless questions. The legacy of Egypt extends beyond its borders, influencing later civilizations in architecture, governance, religion, and mathematics. Yet even as we trace its impact, the original context of its mysteries remains partly obscured. Temples, pyramids, and tombs are more than historical records. They are touchstones of human curiosity, echoing the questions of their builders across millennia. The desert wind seems to carry the voices of ancient architects, priests, and scribes, inviting us to listen quietly and reflect. This gentle resonance reminds us that history is not solely a matter of facts, but a layered experience of discovery, contemplation, and wonder. As we move away from Egypt's sun-scorched sands, the path of curiosity leads us westward and upward toward the high mountains of the Andes. There, another civilization awaits, one that achieved astonishing feats of engineering without the benefit of metal tools or written records, yet whose precision rivals that of the Egyptians. The transition from the desert to the mountains highlights the diversity of human ingenuity and prepares us to explore a world where observation, labor, and mystery converge in ways that continue to inspire awe. In leaving Egypt, we carry forward the lesson that every answer uncovered in history often uncovers further questions, and that the journey into the unknown is as essential as the knowledge itself. From the sun-drenched deserts of Egypt, the journey shifts westward and upward to the rugged peaks of the Andes, where civilizations rose in isolation yet achieved feats of engineering that continue to astound modern observers. Unlike the riverine civilizations of Mesopotamia or the Nile, the Andean cultures developed in harsh, mountainous terrain, sculpting both stone and land to create functional and enduring spaces. It is here, among terraces, fortresses, and ceremonial centers, that the ingenuity of human hands becomes apparent in a form that seems almost impossible given the tools available. The Andes present a quiet testament to precision, adaptation, and the remarkable creativity of societies that thrived without the wheel, iron tools, or written records. As we explore their accomplishments, a gentle tension emerges between what we can explain and what remains deeply mysterious. One of the most iconic examples of Andean engineering is Sacsayhuaman, near modern-day Cusco. Massive stones, some weighing over 100 tons, are fitted together with such precision that even a thin blade cannot be inserted between them. What is striking is not only the scale of the construction, but the seamlessness of the joints, achieved without mortar or modern machinery. Scholars have long debated how these stones were quarried, transported, and precisely positioned. Some propose ingenious systems of levers, ropes, and manpower. Others suggest techniques lost to time. Regardless of the method, the result speaks to a sophisticated understanding of material properties, geometry, and spatial organization. Standing before these walls today, one cannot help but sense the quiet determination of the builders and the patience required to achieve such perfection. Terracing across the Andean highlands provides another example of adaptation and precision. Mountainsides were transformed into vast staircases of fertile land, allowing agriculture to flourish at altitudes that would otherwise be inhospitable. These terraces served multiple purposes, preventing soil erosion, optimizing irrigation, and creating microclimates suitable for diverse crops. Beyond their practical function, the terraces exhibit a subtle aesthetic harmony, integrating human activity seamlessly with the natural landscape. This blend of utility and artistry reflects a worldview in which survival, environment, and spirituality are deeply interconnected. As with the monumental stones, the ingenuity behind these terraces continues to inspire awe and quiet curiosity. Another remarkable site is Ollantaytambo, a fortress and ceremonial center that demonstrates both strategic planning and architectural sophistication. Its steep terraces, intricately carved stones, and carefully aligned structures suggest an advanced understanding of both defense and environmental adaptation. Archaeologists have noted the precision with which stones are cut and positioned, a task complicated by the absence of metal chisels or wheeled transport. Even today, modern tools struggle to replicate such seamless construction. Beyond the technical achievement, the site conveys a sense of intentionality. The layout aligns with water sources, roads, and even astronomical observations, hinting at knowledge that blends engineering, observation, and spiritual insight. The Andean engineers also developed an extensive network of roads and bridges, connecting distant settlements across valleys and mountains. These pathways, often paved with stone and carefully drained to withstand seasonal rains, reflect an understanding of topography, hydrology, and community planning. In a landscape dominated by steep slopes, gorges, and unpredictable weather, such infrastructure required foresight and collaboration. The scale of coordination suggests a society that valued organization and communication, even in the absence of written records. The roads, like the terraces and stone structures, endure today, quietly narrating a story of ingenuity and communal effort. Beyond the visible accomplishments, mysteries linger. Many questions remain about the methods of quarrying, transporting, and lifting stones that weigh several tons across steep mountainsides. Did the Andean builders employ lost techniques, now forgotten? Were there ceremonial or symbolic reasons for the particular selection of stones, shapes, or placements? Some stones appear to have been chosen not for size alone, but for their color, grain, or origin, hinting at a deeper significance that blends practical and spiritual considerations. These unknowns create a layered sense of wonder, encouraging reflection on the capabilities of human creativity when guided by necessity, observation, and vision. The Andean civilizations also excelled in water management. Ingenious aqueducts, canals, and reservoirs provided irrigation across uneven terrain, sustaining agriculture in environments that might otherwise have been inhospitable. Such systems required careful planning, knowledge of hydraulic principles, and ongoing maintenance, reflecting a sophisticated grasp of engineering concepts. Water, in the Andean worldview, was not merely a resource, but a sacred element intertwined with the rhythms of life, ritual, and the cosmos. The blending of utility, spiritual significance, and environmental adaptation exemplifies the holistic approach of these ancient societies. What is especially captivating about the Andean legacy is the way mystery persists even amid observable precision. Unlike civilizations that left extensive written records, these builders relied on memory, oral tradition, and hands-on knowledge passed through generations. There are no detailed manuals explaining their techniques, yet the results endure, precise and elegant. This absence of documentation enhances the sense of mystery, reminding us that human achievement can be measured not only by written instruction, but by sustained practice, ingenuity, and collective wisdom. Each stone, each terrace, each carefully planned path is a question posed across time, inviting contemplation and quiet amazement. In exploring these Andean sites, one cannot help but sense the presence of those who built them. The labor required immense coordination, skill, and dedication, likely spanning generations. Imagine communities moving stones, carving terraces, and shaping landscapes, all guided by observation, intuition, and experience. Their achievements are both functional and poetic, reflecting a profound understanding of human-environment interaction. There's a meditative quality to imagining their daily lives, their decisions, and their reverence for the land, a quality that draws modern observers into a quiet, reflective engagement with the past. As the journey through the Andes concludes, a pattern emerges. Civilizations across time have demonstrated remarkable ingenuity, adapting to their environments with creativity and care. The Andean engineers exemplify this balance of practicality, artistry, and mystery, achieving feats that continue to inspire admiration and curiosity. From the mountains, our exploration will shift eastward, across oceans and deserts, to the ancient lands of India. There, another civilization awaits, whose combination of mathematics, architecture, and celestial observation reveals a different but equally profound dialogue between knowledge and mystery. In leaving the Andes, we carry forward an appreciation for the elegance of human adaptation, the endurance of communal effort, and the quiet marvel of ingenuity expressed through stone and earth. The builders of these highland cities remind us that mystery often coexists with mastery, and that the questions left unanswered are as meaningful as the achievements themselves. It is this delicate balance that continues to guide our journey, drawing us ever deeper into the untold stories of civilizations that, though separated by distance and time, share a common thread of wonder, vision, and silent brilliance. From the towering Andes, the journey moves eastward across continents and oceans, arriving in the Indian subcontinent, a land of rivers, mountains, and endless skies. Here, we encounter civilizations whose achievements are as much intellectual as they are architectural, where knowledge of the cosmos, mathematics, and ritual blended seamlessly with daily life. Ancient India offers a profound example of humanity's ability to observe, calculate, and encode understanding of the world in ways that continue to inspire awe. Unlike the stone precision of the Andes, the Indian mysteries are often inscribed in texts, temples, and observatories, offering both visible artifacts and encoded wisdom. The calm rhythm of these achievements invites a reflective journey, allowing listeners to imagine a world where observation, imagination, and devotion converge. The Vedic period, stretching back thousands of years before the Common Era, represents one of the earliest organized frameworks of knowledge in India. Sacred texts, hymns, and rituals were carefully preserved, containing not only spiritual guidance, but also sophisticated insights into mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy. The precision of the Vedic calendar, for example, reflects detailed observations of the sun, moon, and stars, allowing the timing of festivals, agricultural cycles, and religious ceremonies with remarkable accuracy. These early astronomers achieved calculations that align closely with modern measurements, suggesting a deep, practical understanding of celestial movements. Such knowledge was not merely utilitarian. It carried spiritual significance, linking human activity to the rhythms of the cosmos and reinforcing the idea that life and the universe are interconnected. Temples across India, from the towering gopurams of the south to the intricately carved sanctuaries of the north, showcase an architectural sophistication that is both precise and symbolic. Stone and bronze were shaped with extraordinary skill, often without the benefit of modern tools, to create spaces that align with cardinal directions, solstices, and lunar cycles. Certain temples incorporate astronomical features, allowing sunlight to illuminate specific shrines only on particular days of the year, a testament to careful planning and a profound understanding of light, shadow, and time. The precision of these structures demonstrates that Indian architects were not merely builders. They were observers, mathematicians, and cosmologists, integrating science, art, and spirituality in every stone. The observatories of ancient India, most famously Jantar Mantar in Jaipur, though built in a later period, reflect a long-standing tradition of astronomical observation. Massive instruments of stone and metal were designed to measure time, track planetary positions, and predict eclipses with remarkable accuracy. These instruments reveal a culture that prized observation and measurement, yet integrated them within a framework of ritual, philosophy, and contemplation. The combination of empirical precision with spiritual significance underscores a central theme in India's ancient knowledge. The pursuit of understanding is inseparable from reflection on the human place within the cosmos. Mathematics, too, was deeply intertwined with daily life and cosmic observation. Concepts such as zero, decimal notation, and sophisticated algebraic ideas emerged in India, forming a foundation for calculation and measurement. Inscriptions and texts indicate knowledge of geometry used to plan cities, temples, and water systems, suggesting that numerical understanding was applied both practically and symbolically. The blending of mathematics, astronomy, and architecture demonstrates an integrated worldview in which abstract thought and concrete action coexist, a principle that continues to resonate across centuries. Yet many questions remain, particularly regarding the origins and transmission of this knowledge. How did early Indian astronomers achieve such precise calculations without modern instruments? Were there older, now-lost civilizations that influenced these achievements, as some scholars speculate? Certain texts hint at technologies, astronomical cycles, and even metallurgical knowledge that remain partially obscure. These unanswered questions create a space for wonder, inviting listeners to imagine civilizations in which learning, observation, and spirituality were intertwined in ways that surpass simple utility. It is in this interplay between the known and the mysterious that the richness of India's ancient legacy emerges. Indian mythology and iconography further deepen the sense of enigma. Temples, sculptures, and texts depict gods, celestial vehicles, and cosmic battles that often contain layers of symbolic meaning. Some depictions, such as Vimanas, mythical flying machines, are described in poetic, enigmatic language that fascinates modern readers and researchers. While interpretations vary, these stories reflect a sophisticated imagination that blends observation of the natural world with philosophical inquiry. The symbolic content of these myths may encode astronomical, mathematical, or ethical knowledge, creating a multidimensional form of communication that bridges the visible and the conceptual. Water management in ancient India also reveals an extraordinary understanding of environment and engineering. Stepwells, canals, and reservoirs were constructed to harvest, store, and distribute water efficiently, often with careful attention to seasonal variations and local topography. These systems reflect both practical ingenuity and an aesthetic sensibility, as many stepwells are adorned with intricate carvings and artistic detail. The combination of utility and beauty mirrors the broader Indian approach. Practical knowledge infused with symbolic meaning, a recognition that the functional and the spiritual are often inseparable. One of the most compelling aspects of India's ancient mysteries is their longevity. Knowledge and traditions have been preserved for thousands of years, transmitted across generations in both written and oral forms. The continuity of learning, observation, and ritual underscores a society deeply invested in the careful maintenance of knowledge, while simultaneously leaving room for interpretation, philosophical reflection, and spiritual exploration. The mysteries are not always overt. They lie in the precision of calculations, the alignment of structures, and the nuanced symbolism embedded in stories and sculptures. As we reflect on India's ancient knowledge and celestial mysteries, a pattern emerges similar to that of the Andes and Egypt. Human societies across time have combined observation, imagination, and careful practice to create enduring legacies. India demonstrates that mystery need not be hidden in monumental stone alone. It can reside in texts, in rituals, in the careful observation of the heavens, and in the subtle integration of science and spirituality. Each discovery offers insight, yet each answer also opens new questions, reminding us that human curiosity is both endless and patient. From India, the journey will gradually shift to the deserts of the Middle East, where vanished cities, caravan networks, and desert kingdoms present a quieter, more fragmented type of mystery. Here, human ingenuity met environmental challenge in ways that preserved both knowledge and ambiguity. The transition from India to the desert world highlights the diversity of ancient achievement. From astronomical calculation and temple precision to survival in extreme landscapes, humans have continually shaped their environment with intelligence, care, and imagination. In leaving India, we carry forward an appreciation for observation, precision, and philosophical depth. The mysteries here are subtle, embedded in numbers, alignments, and myth. They remind us that human understanding is not only measured in monuments or artifacts, but also in the careful interpretation of the cosmos, the integration of art and science, and the endurance of knowledge across generations. This calm reflection prepares us for the next chapter, where the silent sands and vanished cities of the desert await, offering their own enigmatic lessons about adaptation, survival, and human curiosity. From the sun-scorched deserts and fertile plains, our journey now moves northward into the Mediterranean, where the late Bronze Age civilizations flourished along the shores and islands of a world connected by the sea. Among these, the Mycenaeans stand as a remarkable society, known for their fortified citadels, monumental tombs, and elaborate art. They were architects, warriors, and traders, engaging in an extensive network that stretched across the Aegean and beyond. Yet, despite their achievements, the Mycenaeans vanished in what has become one of the most compelling historical enigmas: the sudden collapse of the Late Bronze Age. The abrupt disappearance of a complex civilization, once thriving and organized, invites reflection on the fragility of human achievement and the mysteries that remain hidden beneath the layers of time. The citadels of Mycenae, Tiryns, and Pylos reveal a society capable of extraordinary architectural and logistical planning. Cyclopean walls, built with massive stones so precisely fitted that modern tools struggle to replicate them, protected cities against invaders and the forces of nature. Palaces contained administrative centers, storerooms, and elaborate frescoes depicting scenes of hunting, combat, and daily life. These structures were both functional and symbolic, reflecting a civilization deeply aware of hierarchy, ritual, and artistic expression. Yet, despite this apparent strength, the Mycenaeans faced challenges that modern scholars are still trying to fully comprehend, and the reasons behind their sudden decline remain partially obscured. Compounding the mystery is the presence of the so-called Sea Peoples, enigmatic groups mentioned in Egyptian and other contemporary records. These groups appear suddenly, conducting raids and migrations across the Mediterranean, leaving destruction in their wake. The nature, origin, and motives of the Sea Peoples are subjects of intense debate. Were they displaced populations, marauders, or a coalition of groups seeking survival amid environmental and social stress? The timing of their movements coincides intriguingly with the collapse of multiple civilizations, suggesting that their arrival may have played a role in destabilizing an already fragile system. Yet, the full picture remains elusive, and the details of these interactions are often reconstructed from fragmented records and archaeological traces. The collapse of the Mycenaean civilization was not an isolated event. Around the same period, other advanced societies across the Eastern Mediterranean, including the Hittites and the cities of the Levant, also experienced sudden decline. Palatial centers were destroyed, trade networks disrupted, and writing systems, like Linear B, fell into disuse. The scale and simultaneity of these events suggest a complex interplay of factors: climate change, famine, internal rebellion, invasions, or shifts in trade and resources. Archaeologists continue to debate these causes, emphasizing that history rarely offers simple explanations. The gaps in evidence, the fragmentary nature of records, and the silence of abandoned cities collectively create a haunting, reflective atmosphere that invites contemplation rather than certainty. Among the remaining artifacts are the Linear B tablets, inscribed with administrative records that reveal the organizational sophistication of Mycenaean society. These tablets document storage, trade, and taxation, offering glimpses into a civilization that managed its resources with meticulous care. Yet, despite the precision of these records, many aspects of Mycenaean life remain obscure. References to rituals, local traditions, and political dynamics often appear cryptic or incomplete, leaving room for interpretation. The contrast between the detailed, bureaucratic knowledge preserved on clay and the sudden disappearance of the civilization that produced it highlights the fragility of human systems and the ever-present tension between order and collapse. Trade and cultural exchange were central to Mycenaean life. They maintained maritime networks connecting islands, ports, and inland regions, facilitating the flow of goods, ideas, and technologies. This interconnectedness, while a source of prosperity, may have also contributed to vulnerability. Disruptions in one region could ripple across the network, amplifying instability. The delicate balance between connectivity and risk provides insight into why the collapse may have been so sudden and far-reaching. The Mycenaean experience reminds us that even the most sophisticated societies are not immune to forces beyond their control, whether environmental, social, or political. Art and material culture also speak to both achievement and mystery. Frescoes, pottery, and jewelry depict daily life, religious practices, and warfare, yet often include symbols whose full significance is unknown. Certain motifs suggest influence from neighboring civilizations, while others appear unique to the Mycenaean worldview. These artistic choices provide insight into identity, belief, and expression, yet they also leave us wondering about unrecorded ideas, rituals, and experiences that have vanished with the collapse. The surviving artifacts, beautiful and enigmatic, function as bridges across time, connecting modern observers with the thoughts and emotions of a people who are otherwise silent. The suddenness of the Mycenaean decline amplifies its intrigue. Archaeological layers reveal destruction, abandonment, and the cessation of complex administrative practices. Entire palatial centers were left in ruin, yet some smaller settlements persisted, suggesting a selective collapse rather than total annihilation. This uneven pattern raises questions about resilience, adaptation, and the nature of societal memory. How did ordinary people navigate these transitions? What knowledge, practices, or wisdom may have survived orally or in subtle cultural forms? These questions remain open, their answers hidden beneath the surface of earth, rubble, and silence. The collapse also forces reflection on the passage of time and the impermanence of human achievement. The Mycenaeans, like the silent architects of prehistory and the scribes of Sumer, remind us that civilizations are not static. They rise, thrive, and sometimes vanish, leaving behind fragments that are both illuminating and perplexing. In this tension between continuity and disappearance, we find the essence of historical mystery, the interplay of what is known, what is visible, and what has been lost. It is in contemplating these gaps that curiosity deepens and imagination awakens. As the journey through the Mycenaean world draws to a close, the next chapter awaits in classical Greece, where philosophy, science, and art flourished. Unlike the administrative and military focus of Mycenae, Greek civilization began to record abstract thought, inquiry, and exploration in ways that continue to shape modern understanding. Yet even in Greece, mysteries endure. Lost inventions, vanished texts, and enigmatic artifacts that challenge scholars and enthusiasts alike. The transition from the Mycenaean collapse to Greek intellectual flowering underscores a recurring theme. Human creativity and curiosity persist across upheaval, building on the remnants of what came before while simultaneously leaving new questions for future generations to ponder. Through the Mycenaean collapse, we are reminded that history is not only about monuments and records, but also about the spaces between them, the silences and absences that invite reflection. It is within these silences that mystery thrives, patiently waiting to be uncovered, interpreted, and appreciated. And as we move into the world of Greek thought, we carry forward this awareness that human endeavor, no matter how sophisticated, is entwined with uncertainty, and that the search for understanding is both a journey of discovery and a meditation on the enduring unknown. From the ruins and sudden decline of the Mycenaean world, our journey flows naturally into the classical Greek civilization, a society that not only rebuilt but reimagined human understanding in ways that continue to resonate today. Unlike their predecessors, the Greeks left behind extensive written records, philosophical treatises, and sophisticated accounts of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. They were thinkers as much as builders, combining empirical observation with abstract reasoning. And in doing so, they created a civilization that sought to explain the world not only through mythology, but through inquiry and rational thought. Yet even in this age of intellectual flowering, mysteries remain. Artifacts and writings hint at knowledge and technological sophistication that seem to vanish almost as quickly as they were recorded, leaving modern scholars to grapple with questions that the Greeks themselves may have partially understood but never fully preserved. The Antikythera mechanism exemplifies the paradox of lost Greek knowledge. Discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of the small island of Antikythera, this bronze device is often described as the first known analog computer. Its intricate gears and precise calculations tracked celestial movements, eclipses, and cycles of the planets with astonishing accuracy. Modern engineers and historians have marveled at its complexity, noting that nothing of comparable sophistication appears again for over a millennium. How did Greek craftsmen and mathematicians conceive, construct, and use such a device? What other inventions or technologies may have existed but left no trace? The Antikythera mechanism stands as a quiet testimony to human ingenuity and a reminder of the fragility of knowledge. Greek philosophers further explored the mysteries of nature, the cosmos, and human existence. Figures such as Pythagoras, Plato, and Aristotle sought patterns in the world, developing theories that bridged mathematics, ethics, metaphysics, and science. Pythagoras, for example, connected numbers to harmony in music, architecture, and the cosmos, suggesting that the universe itself could be understood through numerical relationships. Plato imagined ideal forms, structures beyond the visible world that shaped reality, blending abstract thought with practical observation. Even as their writings survive, we are left with questions about the full extent of their discoveries and the methods they used to explore these ideas. Many manuscripts have been lost, and some techniques, scientific, mechanical, or mathematical, remain enigmatic, leaving modern minds to reconstruct what the ancients may have known. The paradox of Greek knowledge lies not in what we have discovered, but in what we know may have existed and has been lost. Ancient libraries, such as the famed Library of Alexandria, contain thousands of scrolls recording mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and engineering. Yet countless works disappeared over time, leaving tantalizing gaps in the historical record. References in surviving texts suggest experiments, devices, and ideas that were sophisticated, precise, and practical, yet we are left only with fragments or second-hand accounts. This creates a duality. The Greeks were innovators, but much of their ingenuity seems suspended in a silent void, a shadow of lost possibility that continues to intrigue historians, scientists, and enthusiasts alike. Greek architecture and city planning also reflect an advanced understanding of mathematics, proportion, and astronomy. Temples such as the Parthenon were designed with meticulous attention to alignment, symmetry, and optical refinement, revealing knowledge of geometry and perspective that continues to astonish modern architects. Streets, marketplaces, and theaters were carefully laid out to optimize human movement, sight lines, and acoustics. Yet, like other elements of Greek civilization, these achievements often raise as many questions as they answer. How much of the precision was guided by empirical measurement, and how much by trial, intuition, or lost techniques? The interplay between observable skill and the mysteries of method adds a subtle layer of wonder to the narrative of Greek accomplishment. The Greeks were also remarkable in their pursuit of celestial understanding. Observatories, sundials, and theoretical models of planetary motion illustrate a culture deeply attuned to the heavens. Figures such as Hipparchus and Ptolemy developed models of the cosmos that influenced later civilizations for centuries, even though many details of their methods remain debated today. The Greeks carefully observed, recorded, and theorized, yet much of their knowledge seems to vanish into the ether, leaving only traces in surviving manuscripts and subsequent commentaries. There is a quiet poetry in imagining their nights spent observing stars, measuring angles, and seeking patterns, guided by curiosity and intellect, while leaving behind fragments that spark questions for generations to come. Philosophical schools, from the Stoics to the Epicureans, also illustrate a fascination with the unknown, blending practical ethics with cosmic speculation. These thinkers considered the nature of matter, the causes of natural events, and the moral dimensions of human behavior. They explored concepts that often foreshadow modern scientific inquiry, yet their methods and some of their discoveries were either lost or deliberately restricted to select audiences. The combination of accessible and hidden knowledge contributes to the enduring aura of mystery surrounding Greek thought. The civilization teaches that even in an age of writing, observation, and philosophical rigor, there can be limits to what is recorded, transmitted, and preserved. Greek achievements were not confined to abstract thought. They were applied in medicine, engineering, and navigation. Texts describe surgical procedures, mechanical devices, and complex engineering projects that suggest practical knowledge often far ahead of its time. Yet much of this understanding disappeared with the decline of Greek city-states, the conquests of Rome, and the eventual loss of libraries and records. The result is a civilization that offers glimpses of mastery in multiple domains, yet retains a haunting sense of absence, a paradox in which evidence exists but remains tantalizingly incomplete. As we reflect on Greek civilization, the pattern of knowledge and mystery emerges clearly. The Greeks built, calculated, theorized, and documented, yet their achievements are interwoven with gaps, lost methods, and vanished texts. This paradox, the coexistence of brilliance and incompleteness, creates a tension that captivates modern curiosity. It is a reminder that human understanding is never absolute, and that even the most advanced societies can leave behind more questions than answers. From here, the journey leads into the enduring legend of Atlantis and the possibility of civilizations that might have existed beyond the historical record. The Greeks themselves, through Plato, preserve stories that blend philosophy, morality, and the memory of vanished worlds. These accounts continue to fascinate because they straddle the line between fact and myth, reflecting both historical observation and imaginative speculation. As we move toward these submerged narratives, we carry forward the dual lesson of Greek inquiry. That human curiosity drives discovery, Yet the unknown remains an ever-present horizon, inviting reflection, imagination, and wonder. As we leave the intellectual landscapes of classical Greece, our journey drifts toward a legend that has captured imaginations for millennia: Atlantis. First mentioned by Plato in the dialogues of Timaeus and Critias, Atlantis is described as a powerful, advanced civilization that existed long before his time, only to vanish beneath the waves in a single cataclysmic event. Whether myth or memory of a historical reality, the story embodies the enduring human fascination with lost civilizations, places where ingenuity, culture, and knowledge flourished, only to be erased from the familiar world. This section explores not just the narrative itself, but the patterns, evidence, and speculation that continue to fuel curiosity, inviting reflection on the fragile persistence of human achievement. Plato's account describes Atlantis as a vast island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar. According to his dialogues, Atlantis possessed remarkable engineering, sophisticated governance, and impressive infrastructure, including canals, temples, and palaces constructed with extraordinary skill. The island's people were said to be highly advanced in both technology and philosophy, combining practical knowledge with spiritual insight. Yet the story culminates in tragedy. Due to moral corruption and hubris, the island sank beneath the sea in a single day and night, leaving no trace. Plato's narrative serves both as allegory and as a tantalizing historical puzzle, blurring the line between fact and philosophical lesson. Over the centuries, explorers, archaeologists, and enthusiasts have sought Atlantis in a variety of locations, from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, even to Antarctica. Some propose that the Minoan civilization of Crete, devastated by the eruption of Thera, Santorini, may have inspired the legend. Others suggest submerged lands off the coast of Spain or beneath the Atlantic itself. Each hypothesis offers fragments of plausibility, yet leaves gaps that cannot be fully reconciled. The persistence of Atlantis as a topic reflects a broader fascination with civilizations lost to natural disasters, climate shifts, or other cataclysms, a fascination that taps into both curiosity and a subtle unease about the impermanence of human achievement. The allure of Atlantis is amplified by the detail in which Plato describes the society. The concentric rings of water and land, the organized cities, the sophisticated agriculture, and the impressive harbor systems suggest a level of planning and engineering that mirrors other great ancient civilizations we have already explored. Yet the fact that no archaeological site has definitively matched these descriptions preserves the mystery. Here, as in Egypt or the Andes, we encounter a tension between evidence and imagination, between human ingenuity preserved in records and the possibility that entire societies can vanish without leaving obvious traces. The concept of a lost civilization also encourages reflection on the fragility of human endeavor. Atlantis, whether real or symbolic, represents the delicate balance between achievement and vulnerability. Natural forces, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, can erase cities and knowledge in moments, reminding us that even the most advanced societies are subject to the whims of the environment. This idea resonates across the ancient world, linking Atlantis to the sudden collapse of the Mycenaeans, the submerged cities in the Andes, and other enigmas we have encountered. The lesson is subtle yet profound. Human history is not only about creation and innovation, but also about impermanence and loss. In addition to natural catastrophe, Atlantis has often been interpreted as a moral or philosophical allegory. Plato emphasizes that the island's downfall was linked to the corruption of its inhabitants, suggesting that wisdom, virtue, and moderation are essential to the longevity of civilization. This dual narrative, historical plausibility intertwined with ethical reflection, heightens the story's appeal. It becomes not just a tale of a vanished society, but a meditation on human behavior, governance, and responsibility. The legend's endurance may therefore stem as much from its philosophical depth as from any potential historical basis. Despite centuries of speculation, Atlantis continues to elude verification. Modern technology, submarine exploration, satellite imaging, and oceanographic surveys has identified submerged landscapes and structures that tantalize but do not conclusively match Plato's account. These findings remind us of the scale of human curiosity and the drive to connect myth with history. Yet, in the absence of definitive proof, the story retains its power, existing in the liminal space between fact and imagination, where mystery thrives. It exemplifies the way legends preserve questions as much as they preserve memory. The fascination with Atlantis also reflects a broader human desire to understand our origins and the patterns of civilization. Across cultures, stories of lost lands, sunken cities, and forgotten peoples recur, suggesting that the memory of disappearance, whether literal or symbolic, is deeply ingrained. These tales act as bridges between known history and unknown possibilities, prompting inquiry into geological changes, migration, cultural collapse, and technological achievements that may otherwise have faded into obscurity. In exploring Atlantis, we engage not only with a story, but with a universal reflection on the ephemeral nature of human endeavors. Atlantis also invites consideration of interconnectedness. Like the Andean terraces, the Egyptian pyramids, or the Greek Antikythera mechanism, the legend emphasizes human ingenuity applied to environmental, social, and technological challenges. Whether real or imagined, Atlantis mirrors patterns found in known civilizations, advanced engineering, organized governance, and a deep understanding of resources and natural cycles. The differences lie in its absence, a civilization potentially lost entirely, leaving behind only echoes of its brilliance. This contrast between achievement and disappearance heightens the sense of awe and curiosity, reminding us that history is shaped as much by what is missing as by what survives. The story's persistence in human consciousness also illustrates the power of narrative. Atlantis has inspired explorers, writers, scientists, and dreamers, creating a bridge between imagination and scholarship. The legend challenges us to consider the limits of evidence, the role of storytelling in preserving knowledge, and the ways in which myth can reflect historical memory. In this sense, Atlantis is not merely a lost city. It is a symbol of the enduring human quest to understand the unknown and to seek meaning in the gaps of recorded history. As we prepare to leave the Mediterranean and explore further mysteries in Asia, the legend of Atlantis serves as a reminder that human civilizations are both fragile and remarkable. Their achievements can vanish, yet the curiosity they inspire persists, echoing across centuries. The myth blends fact, philosophy, and imagination into a narrative that continues to captivate, inviting us to reflect on both the brilliance and vulnerability of human endeavor. It sets the stage for our next chapter, where lost kingdoms, ancient cities, and forgotten knowledge in the vast landscapes of Asia will reveal new patterns of human ingenuity and mystery, continuing the delicate interplay between discovery and the unknown. From the submerged myths of Atlantis, our journey drifts eastward into the tropical landscapes of Southeast Asia, a region where dense jungles conceal traces of civilizations that once thrived with remarkable sophistication. Unlike the monumental stonework of Egypt or the Andean terraces, many of these kingdoms left their mark in timber, brick, and intricate art that time and climate have partially reclaimed. Yet, even in decay, they speak to the ingenuity, organization, and spiritual depth of their creators, offering a quiet reminder that human achievement can endure in fragmentary form. This section explores the forgotten kingdoms of Southeast Asia, where mystery intertwines with history, and where the balance between known facts and enduring questions captivates the imagination. Angkor, in modern Cambodia, is perhaps the most iconic example. At its peak, it was the largest urban complex in the world, home to an estimated 1 million inhabitants, with a network of canals, reservoirs, and roads that facilitated both agriculture and transport. The Temple of Angkor Wat, renowned for its symmetry and scale, reflects not only architectural mastery, but also precise astronomical alignment. Sunlight illuminates key shrines at particular times of the year, and the temple's orientation mirrors the movements of celestial bodies, echoing patterns we have observed in Egypt, India, and the Andes. Yet, despite centuries of study, questions remain about the construction methods, urban planning techniques, and social organization that allowed such a massive city to flourish in the heart of a tropical forest. The Khmer Empire, which created Angkor, also demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of water management. Engineers constructed elaborate barrages, artificial reservoirs that controlled flooding, provided irrigation, and supported agriculture across vast distances. These water systems required careful observation of seasonal cycles, hydrology, and soil patterns, reflecting both practical knowledge and environmental adaptation. The canals and reservoirs also served symbolic purposes, linking temples to cosmological concepts of oceans and divine order. Such integration of utility, spirituality, and urban planning illustrates a worldview in which human and natural systems were deeply interconnected and where engineering was inseparable from philosophy. Elsewhere in Southeast Asia, the city of Bagan in modern Myanmar showcases another facet of forgotten ingenuity. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, over 10,000 Buddhist temples, pagodas, and monasteries were constructed across the plains, creating a monumental religious landscape. Today, over 2,000 structures remain, many partially restored, offering insight into a civilization's devotion, architectural skill, and capacity for organization. The scale and density of Bagan's religious sites suggest not only spiritual fervor, but also sophisticated construction techniques and community coordination, achieved without modern machinery. Yet much about the societal structures, economic systems, and knowledge transmission methods remains obscure, leaving a sense of mystery amidst observable accomplishment. In addition to monumental architecture, Southeast Asian civilizations excelled in trade and cultural exchange. Maritime networks connected kingdoms along the coasts and islands, facilitating the movement of goods, ideas, and technologies from India, China, and beyond. Port cities became hubs of commerce and cultural fusion, blending local traditions with influences from distant lands. These networks contributed to economic prosperity and intellectual development, but also left a trail of enigmas. Archaeological evidence often survives only in fragments, leaving researchers to reconstruct complex systems of governance, trade, and cultural integration from incomplete records. Art and symbolism further enhance the region's enigmatic appeal. Bas-reliefs, sculptures, and inscriptions depict mythological narratives, cosmological ideas, and ceremonial practices that blend local beliefs with imported influences. The precision of carvings, the integration of storytelling into architectural spaces, and the consistency of symbolic motifs reflect both aesthetic sensibility and deep cultural continuity. Yet interpretation is often difficult. The meaning of certain symbols, the rituals associated with specific temples, and the significance of urban layouts remain partially obscure. Here again, the interplay of known fact and unanswered question heightens curiosity, inviting a reflective engagement with history. One of the most intriguing aspects of these forgotten kingdoms is their decline. Angkor, for instance, experienced a gradual abandonment, influenced by climate fluctuations, resource depletion, and possibly external pressures. Cities like Bagan faced similar challenges, with political instability, invasions, and environmental changes reshaping settlement patterns. Unlike sudden collapses such as that of the Mycenaeans, these declines were often protracted and complex, leaving behind physical traces while erasing much of the social and administrative context. The gaps in knowledge foster a sense of mystery, compelling historians and archaeologists to piece together narratives from fragmentary evidence and subtle clues embedded in the landscape. The jungles and plains themselves contribute to the enigmatic quality of Southeast Asia's past. Dense vegetation conceals ruins, floods periodically obscure structures, and centuries of erosion have altered both cities and waterways. In some cases, ancient sites were rediscovered only through aerial surveys, satellite imagery, or ground-penetrating radar, revealing hidden networks of roads, canals, and foundations. These discoveries reinforce the idea that human ingenuity often leaves subtle, persistent traces even when civilizations vanish, and that mystery is not a lack of achievement, but a matter of context, preservation, and interpretation. In contemplating these forgotten kingdoms, a broader pattern emerges. Civilizations rise, thrive, and sometimes fade, leaving behind legacies that are both instructive and elusive. Southeast Asia demonstrates that innovation need not rely on monumental stonework alone. It can manifest in urban planning, water management, art, and trade systems. The mysteries persist not because the achievements are absent, but because their context, methods, and full significance are partially lost. It is this delicate interplay between observable sophistication and unanswered questions that sustains curiosity and wonder. As the journey from Southeast Asia concludes, the path moves northward into China, where dynasties created monumental infrastructure, preserved extensive records, and cultivated philosophies that influenced the world. Yet, even there, mysteries endure in lost texts, undeciphered symbols, and enigmatic archaeological sites. The transition highlights the continuity of human curiosity and ingenuity across continents. Whether in stone, timber, clay, or text, civilizations have sought to master their environment, explore the cosmos, and record knowledge, while leaving traces that invite reflection and speculation. Through the lens of Southeast Asia, we see that mystery is a natural companion to achievement. The ruins of Angkor and Bagan whisper of human potential, reminding us that even when civilizations fade, their ingenuity continues to inspire and provoke questions. These forgotten kingdoms exemplify the quiet power of history's unsolved puzzles, inviting contemplation of the ways in which human societies navigate complexity, preserve knowledge, and face the inexorable passage of time. From the dense jungles and plains of Southeast Asia, the journey extends northward to China, a land of rivers, mountains, and centuries of continuity that rival any civilization in both scale and endurance. Here, dynasties rose and fell along the Yellow and Yangtze rivers, leaving behind monumental achievements in governance, technology, and culture. Yet, despite extensive records, numerous enigmas persist. From early metallurgical innovations to engineering feats, China's ancient dynasties combined practicality, observation, and creativity in ways that continue to challenge modern understanding. The mysteries here are subtle, hidden in texts, artifacts, and ruins, inviting reflection on the interplay between knowledge, memory, and loss. The Shang dynasty, dating as far back as the 16th century BCE, provides one of the earliest glimpses of Chinese sophistication. Bronze vessels, ritual objects, and oracle bones demonstrate advanced metallurgical skill and precise craftsmanship. The inscriptions on oracle bones, used for divination, reveal not only early writing, but also a culture deeply engaged with questions of fate, governance, and cosmic order. Yet many of these inscriptions remain only partially interpreted, leaving scholars to speculate on the rituals, predictions, and societal norms they encoded. Here, as elsewhere, mystery emerges not from absence of evidence, but from the partial obscurity of meaning and intent. Engineering and urban planning were hallmarks of successive Chinese dynasties. The construction of walls, canals, and fortresses required careful observation, labor organization, and technical understanding. For example, the foundations of early cities reveal knowledge of flood control and drainage, illustrating an awareness of natural forces that resonates with water management practices in Southeast Asia. The Great Wall, though built over centuries, exemplifies a combination of defensive strategy, monumental ambition, and logistical mastery. Yet even such well-documented achievements leave questions. How were resources allocated so efficiently, and what methods ensured long-term sustainability in challenging terrain. The answers, partly lost to history, invite contemplation of human ingenuity across millennia. China's ancient innovations extended beyond construction to technology and science. The development of early compasses, sophisticated agricultural tools, and rudimentary mechanical devices demonstrates a culture deeply engaged with observation and practical problem-solving. Scholars and artisans collaborated in ways that balanced experimentation with empirical knowledge, often producing innovations that would influence the world centuries later. Despite the survival of these artifacts, certain techniques, such as lost forging methods or advanced hydrological engineering, remain partially obscure. The presence of such enigmas emphasizes the delicate line between mastery and mystery, a recurring theme in the story of human civilizations. Philosophy, too, played a central role in the Chinese understanding of the world. Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism each offered frameworks for morality, governance, and human behavior, while also engaging with questions of natural order and cosmic balance. These philosophies informed practical decisions from agricultural planning to political administration, blending observation, reflection, and ethical consideration. Yet, embedded within these systems are unresolved questions. How did local knowledge, folk practices, and lost schools of thought influence the broader trajectory of Chinese civilization? The surviving texts provide guidance, but gaps remain, reminding us that intellectual achievement can coexist with lingering mystery. The terracotta army of the Qin dynasty offers another compelling window into China's enigmatic accomplishments. Thousands of life-sized figures, each uniquely detailed, were buried to accompany the first emperor into the afterlife. The scale, organization, and artistic sophistication of the army suggest advanced knowledge of production, logistics, and ceremonial symbolism. Yet questions endure. How were the molds, techniques, and materials standardized across such a massive workforce? What cultural beliefs motivated such monumental investment in burial practices? The terracotta army stands as both a testament to human ingenuity and a silent puzzle, inviting contemplation of lost knowledge and the values that shaped it. China's record-keeping practices, particularly through bamboo slips and later paper, created a continuity of knowledge unmatched in many parts of the ancient world. Yet, despite these extensive archives, countless texts have been lost to time, war, and natural disaster. Historical records hint at scientific experiments, astronomical observations, and engineering projects that have left only faint traces. As with other civilizations, the interplay between surviving evidence and missing information generates enduring curiosity. Scholars must piece together fragments, infer context, and reflect on what might have existed but no longer survives. Environmental awareness was integral to Chinese civilization. The dynasties observed rivers, seasonal changes, and soil fertility, integrating this knowledge into agricultural planning and flood control. Canals and irrigation systems, some spanning hundreds of kilometers, reflect a sophisticated understanding of hydraulics and labor coordination. Yet the precise methods of long-term maintenance and planning often remain speculative, leaving questions about how knowledge was transmitted, preserved, and adapted over generations. Here, as in other regions, human ingenuity interacts with uncertainty, creating a rhythm of achievement punctuated by lingering questions. The endurance of Chinese civilization, alongside these mysteries, underscores a broader pattern. Human societies can achieve remarkable stability and continuity, yet still harbor enigmas in technology, ritual, and philosophy. Observed precision coexists with hidden practices, lost knowledge, and partially understood innovations. The narrative of China's dynasties demonstrates that mystery is not only found in collapse or absence, but also in the subtle complexity of thriving civilizations. As we prepare to leave China and traverse the vast steppes and deserts of Central Asia, the lessons of innovation, observation, and partially preserved knowledge set the stage. The civilizations that followed, nomadic empires, trade networks, and Silk Road cultures. Built on these achievements while adding new layers of mystery, ingenuity, and connectivity. The interplay between human ambition, environmental adaptation, and historical gaps continues to captivate, reminding us that the story of civilizations is as much about the unknown as it is about the known. In reflecting on China's ancient dynasties, we recognize that even in one of the world's most meticulously documented civilizations, mysteries endure. From early writing and metallurgy to engineering, philosophy, and astronomical observation, the evidence illustrates both mastery and the persistent shadow of what has been lost. It is within this balance, between tangible achievement and lingering questions, that the allure of ancient civilizations continues, offering not only insight into human capability, but also a quiet, meditative invitation to explore the unknown. From the structured cities and enduring dynasties of China, the journey stretches across vast mountains, deserts, and steppes, tracing the paths of the Silk Road, a network of trade routes that connected east and west for centuries. Far more than a series of roads, the Silk Road was a conduit for ideas, technologies, religions, and cultures, linking civilizations across thousands of kilometers. Along these routes, merchants, pilgrims, and explorers carried not only silk, spices, and precious metals, but also knowledge, stories, and innovations, leaving traces that continue to fascinate historians and archaeologists. Yet the Silk Road is also a story of mystery. Many settlements vanished, goods disappeared, and entire cultures left little permanent record, creating a network of enigmas alongside the tangible achievements. Caravanserais, the resting places for traders, were scattered along the Silk Road, providing shelter, security, and spaces for exchange. Their locations, often in seemingly inhospitable regions, reveal careful observation of terrain, water sources, and seasonal patterns. Some caravanserais are now partially excavated ruins, offering glimpses into the organization of long-distance trade and the movement of people and ideas. Yet, many remain undiscovered beneath shifting sands or urban expansion, leaving questions about their precise locations, scale, and the lives of those who traverse these ancient highways. The rhythm of trade, dependent on both human planning and natural cycles, created a dynamic system where mystery and practical ingenuity coexisted. The exchange along the Silk Road was not limited to goods. Religious ideas traveled with merchants, shaping societies along the route. Buddhism spread from India into China, influencing art, architecture, and philosophy. Zoroastrian, Christian, and later Islamic teachings moved along these networks, sometimes blending with local beliefs. The diffusion of knowledge created layers of cultural hybridity, and yet much of this interchange remains partially obscured. Artifacts, inscriptions, and local traditions hint at these interactions, but many details are lost, leaving a sense of awe and curiosity about how deeply interconnected these civilizations truly were. Cities along the Silk Road, such as Samarkand, Bactria, and Kashgar, illustrate the blend of commerce, culture, and political power. These hubs thrived as centers of exchange, administration, and innovation, yet their histories are often fragmentary. Some were abandoned due to changing trade patterns, desertification, or conquest. Archaeological remains reveal urban planning, religious architecture, and craft production, but gaps in records create tantalizing questions. How were these cities governed? How were goods transported across extreme environments? And how did knowledge spread among them? The coexistence of evidence and absence amplifies the sense of mystery, echoing themes observed in other ancient civilizations. The material culture of the Silk Road also reveals unexpected connections. Chinese silk has been found in Mediterranean sites, while Persian ceramics and Central Asian artifacts appear in distant regions. These discoveries indicate an extensive, dynamic network of exchange that demanded careful coordination, knowledge of geography, and practical problem-solving. Yet the precise logistics of these networks, routes, caravan organization, storage systems, remain partially speculative, inviting reflection on the ingenuity and resilience of ancient traders. The Silk Road embodies the duality of human achievement and mystery, linking observable outcomes with unanswered questions about process and method. Nomadic cultures played a crucial role in sustaining these networks. Steppe peoples, adept at traversing harsh landscapes, served as intermediaries, guides, and protectors of trade. Their mobility enabled connections across vast distances but left little permanent record, creating a shadowy presence in the historical narrative. These societies illustrate a recurring pattern. The most adaptable, resourceful groups often leave behind the fewest physical traces, yet their impact on human history is profound. The interplay between visible cities, long-distance trade, and nomadic ingenuity highlights the balance between permanence and ephemerality in human achievement. Environmental challenges along the Silk Road were immense. Deserts, mountains, and river crossings required careful timing, preparation, and adaptation. Merchants and travelers observed weather patterns, seasonal water availability, and terrain hazards, integrating this knowledge into logistical strategies. Many routes were abandoned or shifted over time, leaving archaeological and historical traces that are difficult to interpret. The persistence of mystery along the Silk Road emerges not from a lack of human effort, but from the dynamic interaction between people and an unpredictable natural world. Art and symbolism traveled alongside goods. Decorative motifs, religious iconography, and technological knowledge spread between civilizations, creating hybrid styles and innovative techniques. For instance, artistic elements from India influenced Central Asian sculpture, while Chinese motifs appear in Persian and Anatolian art. Yet the origins and full extent of these cross-cultural exchanges are often difficult to trace. Many artifacts are found in isolation, removed from their original context, leaving scholars to reconstruct their stories from fragments. This creates a space where curiosity thrives, bridging fact and speculation. As we reflect on the Silk Road, a larger pattern becomes evident. Human ingenuity is often revealed not in single achievements, but in the networks and systems that connect societies. Trade, cultural exchange, and shared knowledge are achievements of collaboration, observation, and adaptation. At the same time, these networks are permeated by mystery. The vanished settlements, lost manuscripts, and undocumented interactions remind us that human history is not a complete record, but a tapestry of fragments and enduring questions. The Silk Road, thus, serves as a bridge, both geographically and conceptually, between civilizations. It connects the dynasties of China with the distant kingdoms of the Middle East and the Mediterranean, linking technological innovation, artistic expression, and spiritual practice across thousands of kilometers. Its mysteries invite reflection on the fragility, resilience, and adaptability of human societies, and on the ways in which knowledge and culture can persist even when physical traces fade. As the journey along these ancient routes concludes, the next chapter will guide us into the deserts and oases of the Middle East, where trade, conquest, and cultural synthesis produced new enigmas. Here, the intersection of geography, politics, and human ingenuity created civilizations whose traces are both visible and elusive. The Silk Road teaches that mystery is often intertwined with connection. The more we explore these networks, the more questions arise, compelling us to continue the journey of curiosity, observation, and reflection. From a winding Silk Road, the journey now moves into the deserts of the Middle East, a landscape both harsh and enigmatic, where civilizations rose in oases and along river valleys, leaving behind traces of human ingenuity that continue to captivate the imagination. Unlike fertile river plains or bustling trade hubs, the desert demanded resilience, observation, and adaptation. Here, cities, temples, and irrigation systems were created in a challenging environment, yet many of these achievements have been partially reclaimed by sand and time. The Middle Eastern deserts are both a testament to human creativity and a repository of mysteries, where what survives often raises as many questions as it answers. The Nabateans, centered in Petra in modern-day Jordan, exemplify the ingenuity required to thrive in arid landscapes. Carving entire cities into rock cliffs, they constructed elaborate facades, tombs, and water channels that captured and redirected scarce rainfall. Their hydraulic engineering included cisterns, aqueducts, and terraces, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of both geology and climate. Yet many aspects of their society remain obscure. The full extent of Petra's urban layout, the methods of quarrying and transporting massive stones, and the daily lives of its inhabitants are reconstructed only partially through archaeology and ancient texts. The interplay of what is visible and what is lost generates a profound sense of wonder. In addition to the Nabateans, the civilizations of Mesopotamia's deserts, Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and later civilizations, reveal the remarkable capacity for adaptation in a challenging environment. Irrigation systems transformed arid land into productive fields, supporting dense populations and enabling trade, craft specialization, and monumental architecture. Ziggurats, temples, and palaces were constructed with precise knowledge of geometry and materials, often aligned with celestial observations. Yet gaps in the historical record leave unresolved questions. The full scale of city planning, the organizational mechanisms behind labor and resources, and the extent of lost knowledge in administration and science. The deserts, by preserving some artifacts and erasing others, reinforce the duality of human achievement and lingering mystery. Trade and cultural exchange were equally vital. Desert routes connected Mesopotamia with the Levant, the Arabian Peninsula, and beyond, facilitating the movement of goods, ideas, and technologies. Caravan networks, often dependent on oases and seasonal timing, reflect meticulous planning and observation of environmental conditions. These networks enabled civilizations to thrive despite geographic isolation. Yet much about their operation remains speculative. The combination of documented achievements, such as cuneiform tablets and architectural remains, with missing details of daily logistics and social structures, creates an enduring tension between what is known and what remains hidden. Religion and ritual played a central role in desert societies. Temples, shrines, and ceremonial spaces often incorporate astronomical alignments and symbolic architecture, linking human activity with natural and cosmic cycles. These designs reflect a worldview in which survival, spirituality, and environmental mastery were intertwined. Yet the precise meanings of certain symbols, the full scope of ritual practices, and the societal context for sacred sites are often lost to time. Archaeology provides glimpses, but rarely the complete picture, leaving a space where imagination and careful inference fill the gaps. Nomadic and semi-nomadic groups added another layer of complexity to Middle Eastern civilizations. Their mobility enabled cultural transmission, trade facilitation, and adaptive strategies in extreme conditions. Yet these populations left fewer permanent structures, making their presence and influence more difficult to reconstruct. Their contribution to the development, survival, and dissemination of knowledge across deserts underscores the theme that human ingenuity is not always visible in stone or text, but can persist in movement, practice, and oral tradition. Natural forces shaped both achievement and disappearance. Desertification, sandstorms, shifting river courses, and climate fluctuations altered landscapes, destroyed settlements, and obscured evidence. Cities once thriving now lie buried, while irrigation networks have silted or vanished. These environmental pressures amplify the sense of mystery. The more civilizations adapted, the more precarious their existence remained. What survives is fragmentary yet eloquent, offering insight into both human resilience and the impermanence of built environments. The deserts of the Middle East, thus, offer a unique reflection on the continuity and fragility of human civilizations. Achievements in architecture, engineering, trade, and spirituality coexist with unanswered questions, highlighting the tension between observable mastery and the gaps left by time and environment. In this region, as elsewhere, mystery thrives not from absence of ingenuity, but from the partial survival of evidence, encouraging reflection on how human societies rise, adapt, and sometimes vanish. As we prepare to conclude our journey, the deserts of the Middle East serve as a bridge between the known achievements of past civilizations and the enduring mysteries that persist across landscapes and time. They remind us that human creativity is both resilient and vulnerable, capable of remarkable adaptation, yet always subject to forces beyond control. This reflection sets the stage for the final contemplation of our journey, the enduring lessons of history, the patterns of human ingenuity, and the subtle, persistent presence of mystery that continues to inspire wonder and curiosity. As our journey across continents, deserts, mountains, and oceans draws to a close, a quiet reflection emerges on the enduring interplay between human achievement and mystery. From the precise stones of the Andes to the astronomical alignments of India, from the vanished Mycenaean palaces to the fabled Atlantis, and from the Silk Road's bustling trade routes to the hidden cities of the Middle East, a pattern becomes clear. Human civilizations have always strived to understand, shape, and adapt to their world, leaving traces that are as much questions as they are answers. The surviving monuments, texts, and artifacts speak to ingenuity, observation, and creativity, yet they simultaneously hint at what has been lost, forgotten, or never fully understood. Mystery is not a failure of memory, but a companion to achievement. It is the shadow cast by human endeavor, reminding us that even the most meticulous planning, the most innovative engineering, or the most profound philosophy cannot fully endure unaltered across millennia. Each civilization explored its environment, its stars, and its own potential, yet left gaps, whether through decay, catastrophe, or choice, that invite wonder, reflection, and imagination. These absences are as meaningful as what remains, offering space for curiosity and discovery. Ultimately, the stories we have traced illuminate a timeless truth. Human creativity is persistent, adaptable, and endlessly resourceful. The mysteries of the past, be they lost cities, vanished knowledge, or unexplained technologies, serve not only as puzzles, but as inspiration. They invite us to consider what we can learn from those who came before, and how the delicate balance between what we know and what we do not continues to shape our understanding of history, ourselves, and the limitless potential of human ingenuity.